Watching how to make tiramisu with the sisterhood. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I was feeling bad because I couldn't find the chocolate one.
Okay, I'm just gonna mute everybody. Okay. Morgan, if you could just unmute yourself because I had to mute everybody. Okay, everybody, welcome to, I believe this is week 34 of Homemade with TGP, or 35. I've lost track of, how many weeks we've been doing this. Because it's the 9 days before Tisha B'Av, we are doing a dairy food item today, and we're going to be learning how to make tiramisu from one of our favorites, Morgan Peaceman. So welcome to Homemade with TGP, and I'm going to spotlight you, Morgan.
Cool. So I get to stare at myself.
If you have questions, you're all muted. So if you have questions, unmute yourself and shout out your name.
Yeah,
so Morgan
please
knows who you are.
Yeah, if you have any questions, please by all means interrupt me. So hi, it's really awesome to be back. The last time that I was with you guys, I was doing French onion soup, and a lot has developed since then. Summer, which is nice. It's always nice to have warm weather. And I created a tiramisu recipe, and tiramisu is one of those recipes that when you know it's good, it's really good. When it's just really mascarpone and creamy, and the ladyfingers are really nice and soaked, and there's a ton of cocoa powder. And tiramisu is one of my favorite recipes, desserts rather. It's been a long weekend with my son, so forgive me if I stumble over my words. But tiramisu is one of my favorite desserts, and it's something that I challenged myself in making, and it came out phenomenal. So when Dina reached out to me to do this, I said, of course, because it gives me the reason to have it tomorrow night and for the rest of the week for dinner. So it's perfect for me in two ways: to provide my recipe to all of you, and I'm grateful for you joining me tonight. And it also gives me dessert for the week. So without further ado, we'll get started. So tiramisu does incorporate some raw egg yolks, I will say that. So if you are not okay with raw egg yolks, you don't have to include them. It just will make the consistency a little different. So what I usually do, and I'm in a different setup this time, so I have a lot of my ingredients already set, but I'll show you what that looks like here. So it's a standard recipe. We have 4 egg yolks separated from the egg whites. We don't need the egg whites for this recipe. We have 8 ounces of mascarpone cream. We have a cup of heavy cream, a little bit of frangelico, some vanilla extract. We have a half a cup, or about 100 grams of cane sugar divided, so 2 1/4 cups. We have 3 tablespoons of cocoa powder and 1 1/4 cup of cold coffee. So I would say 1 1/2, but I don't have as many ladyfingers, and the ladyfingers are over there. So we're just not going to have as much coffee because I don't have as many ladyfingers. I hope if you are joining me while making this, I hope you were luckier than I was to find ladyfingers. I went to 4 different grocery stores and they didn't have them. Don't know why. So I ended up getting them on Amazon, which was fine because I ended up having extra, and it was perfect for tonight. So it's really not a very hard or difficult recipe to put together. So we're gonna get started. What you start off with is using an electric mixer or hand mixer. I have a hand mixer here. I don't have space in my kitchen for a stand mixer, but maybe one day, I don't know. Maybe I'll get one for Mother's Day one year, but that's besides the point. So what we're gonna do is start with 1/4 cup of sugar. We're gonna add it to a bowl. We're going to just add the egg yolks here as well. And so one thing I'll say, I learned this the last time, is crack the eggs in a separate bowl, so that way you don't have any eggshells, so you're not swimming in whipped egg / sugar mixture and trying to get out egg shells, because that's just not fun. So we have the 4 egg yolks here. We're just going to let that go in. this aside. And then we whisk together. So this might get a little loud, but what you'll see, and I'll try and bend the computer down, is you'll see the egg yolk mixture become pale yellow and thick.
How much sugar you said you have?
Sorry?
How much sugar did you put in?
So this was 1/4 cup.
1/4. Okay. I'll turn it off for just a second, but you started to see it's getting thicker and it's actually getting a little bit less yellow. It's becoming more pale. So we want to get a little bit more pale for this recipe, and we blend it in with the mascarpone cream.
Mute. Okay, unmute. No, I don't see her. Okay, I muted it.
And so there are some ribbons falling. You actually want it to be a little bit thicker. Actually, this is pretty good. So you see it went from a rich yellow to a very light pale yellow, which is what we want. This is really actually nice and thick. So you want like a falling ribbon from the whisk, as they say in culinary school, which I did not attend because I taught myself how to do this. But you want the ribbons to fall off the whisk. So just kind of like a thin stream off of it. So we have our egg mixture here. I'm going to detach these. We will not need these again. So we have our eggs here. Push this aside. I'm going to get my whisk ready for the whipped cream.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
You know, I usually cook along, but I don't like coffee, so this is just not my thing.
Okay.
But anyway, so I saw you just whisked the egg yolks and you talked about the egg yolks. This is never going into an oven. You're never baking it. You're just putting it together. So that's really raw egg yolks, So in all your research all these years, is that dangerous to eat that?
So raw egg yolks, they aren't technically, it's the egg whites with the egg yolks that can cause salmonella. There are like recipes that have, like if you think about Caesar dressing does traditionally incorporate raw egg yolks. What this recipe calls for is a marinade overnight, 24 hours. So I don't actually have the research behind like if it's good, bad, or whatnot. I just know that the egg yolks are a safer or are safe to eat considered raw. When you make a hollandaise sauce, hollandaise is usually with a raw egg. I know it sometimes has like a tempered butter, but for tiramisu traditionally does incorporate raw egg. I had it last time, I felt fine. So, you know, but that's a good question. That's something that causes me to do more research on.
Yeah.
So, but again, you know, if you're somebody who doesn't want the raw egg, I see no reason to not have to
leave that out and just make it with the heavy cream. It might just cause it a little bit a different texture.
Right. So if you wanted to not put the raw egg, then you would just go right to the sugar with the cream. You would just leave. Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
Yep. Yeah, good question. That's actually I'm gonna, when this is over, I'm going to research, because I looked at it before and it didn't say that you can't. I think it has to do with the whites itself, because the whites itself have more of the salmonella to it. And I know that whites, when, you know, now that I have my 16-month-old who eats us out of house and home, we have, or at least I've researched what about eggs causes the allergen, and it's the egg whites versus the egg yolk. So the egg whites itself are what it causes the allergy in babies.
Wow.
Yeah. One trick that I have learned from watching other professional cooks or chefs is to make really good quality whipped cream, because that's what we're going to make, essentially, is make the whipped cream. We're use a cold bowl. So we're going to, I just had the bowl in the fridge, and so I don't have that in my recipe. I apologize. I just thought of that tonight, so I can add that if you want to make this at some point. So I have a cold bowl here. I'm just going to pull up my recipe because I don't like not having that in front of me. Okay. So we're going to add the rest of the sugar. And we're going to add the heavy cream. And again, this is going to get loud, and something about whipped cream, it will take a while, so just have a little bit of patience with it. So you add both of that together, and then using a whisk or a hand whisk, you start making the cream. So I'll try and do my best here. It's already starting to foam, which is great. Yeah, there you go. See, it's starting to turn to whipped cream. My entire computer just got covered in whipped cream, but here is what it looks like right now. We're going to keep whipping. We want it really, really stiff.
Can I use the same yellow ink as the white?
You do want to use the whisk attachment, which is just the one piece, the one whisk.
Oh,
Versus the two. I tried it using the ones that you have, but it won't cause the whipped cream. All right, so this is considered a stiff peak because the whipped cream stands up, and so we're good. We know that it's ready when we have a stiff peak that forms at the top of the whisk, and you can actually, well, turn it over and it won't come out. So I was actually a little nervous to do that, but it worked. So we have our whipped cream here. And to this, we're going to add the mascarpone and vanilla. To the whipped cream, yep, okay. I still have to read my own ingredients and recipes, but I guess that's a good thing. Okay, so we're adding the vanilla. We're gonna add the mascarpone. All right, any other questions so far?
What is that you're using?
It's mascarpone cream.
And you get that in a regular supermarket?
Yep, I got this at Stop and Shop.
I've never seen that before.
Yep, it's I guess it's like an Italian cream cheese.
Oh.
Yeah, it's got a thicker flavoring to it. That's good. All right, so we're going to, oh, I did rinse them. Just gonna use this again.
Ellen? It's Josie.
Yes.
You
Hi,
know,
Josie.
mascarpone is excellent with mashed potatoes.
Oh, really?
Makes them very, very creamy.
It's dairy though, right, Josie?
Right, it's cheese.
Yep.
Mm, all right. Okay, a crazy question while you're doing that. By the way, Morgan, we don't hear it. We don't hear it because I think once it gets very loud, the sound goes away. So we do not hear that.
Oh.
So that's a good thing.
good.
Can you make tiramisu without coffee?
You can, but the tiramisu itself is centered around the coffee.
Exactly. Can you think of anything besides coffee you could send? Like, could you do hot chocolate or something like that? Do you
Oh,
chocolate milk?
sure. I'm sure you could do a hot chocolate because then so you'd want the purpose of the or the cold coffee in the frangelico is to soak the ladyfingers. So any type of liquid is what you want to have the ladyfingers soaking in, and that's what's going to give you the coffee or whatever liquid flavor that you want in the tiramisu.
Cool. All right.
So maybe you could do like a strawberry jam. You could soak the ladyfingers in strawberry. Maybe you could do, if you like tea, you could do cold Earl Grey. That might be interesting.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a coffee crazy person. I love coffee. So this is like right up my alley. Coffee, liquor, all
Can you
things.
do it in just amaretto?
You might be able to. It's gonna be strong though. But hey, if that's what you're looking for, no judgment. If you just want to, because I mean, I bought the frangelico. I did actually put another tablespoon in because I wanted to see if it'll taste differently. Try it out. One thing I did forget to mention is you want to dust your pan or Pyrex or whatever you're using. You want to dust the bottom of it with a little bit of cocoa powder. That will help the ladyfingers lift up as your or as it sets and when you're ready to serve it. So just a quick dusting.
Can you show me how thick, how big the
Pan?
Yeah.
This is an 8x8, but you can use 9x9.
It has 8x5. Oh no, 5x11, I guess. Is this?
Yeah, I mean, you can ultimately use whatever pan you want. I think the tiramisu is traditionally higher than it is wider or longer or taller than it is wider. But
So, 2 layers?
Yeah, you could do a two-layer tiramisu.
Mm.
Yeah, that looks fine.
Okay.
Mine is just thicker, so mine will probably be 4 or 5 layers. I don't have as many ladyfingers, so mine actually tonight will probably be only 2 or 3 layers. But yeah.
I have a question.
Sure.
You know, I'm gonna go there. Any way to make this gluten-free?
You would probably have to find some gluten-free ladyfingers. That I can't.
Which is probably gonna be tough.
Yeah, I mean, you might be able to find them on Amazon. I know Char, SC.
I have an idea. Develop a recipe for gluten-free ladyfingers.
I could try.
No, I'm kidding. But seriously, and then there's flour in this recipe too, right?
No, there's no flour.
Oh, there's no flour. Okay.
The only flour or gluten are the ladyfingers.
Interesting. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. That might be doable then.
Yeah. Okay, so we have our mascarpone and
I'm sorry, just to interrupt, Michelle, there's a company called Char, SCHAR, that has gluten-free ladyfingers, and you could get them, I believe at Whole Foods.
Interesting. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we're going to lastly fold in the whipped eggs. And so I'm going to discard my whisk and get a spatula to fold it in. We don't want to necessarily disrupt the stiffness of the mascarpone and the cream. So when we fold in, it'll just be a whisking in, or more of like a stir of the hand, if you will.
Michelle, she's gonna fold in the cheese.
Is that a Schitt's Creek reference?
Yes, it is.
It is. That was a great episode. You're folding it in. There you go.
And so this recipe does call for sitting overnight for 24 hours, just to let the ingredients kind of sit together and marinate. But when it's ready, it's amazing. And you don't have to share it with anybody if you don't want to. And in my household, I'm the only one who likes coffee, although I know my in-laws do. They get all the joys, and I know they're on here, so hi. I know that they get the joys of all my recipe tests while they're watching Rowan, so that's a plus. Okay. So now that the eggs have been incorporated, the mixture became a little bit loose, which is great because it's nice and fluffy, and I'll show you. Okay, it's nice and fluffy, and so that way it's easier to spread around when you layer this on the tiramisu or the ladyfingers. Okay. So who else is making this with me? I see Lana is. How's it going, Lana? Good? Good? Okay, good. I see a head nod. That's perfect. All right.
I'm not making it tonight because clearly I'm working right now, but I will make it because I love tiramisu.
Yeah, this is a good one. And it's good for, you know, if you know that you're going somewhere and you want to bring something that's not a fruit platter or cookies or something traditional, this is a fun thing to make. And if you know you're going somewhere the next day, you make it the night before, and then you don't have to worry about like prepping it the night before or the day of. All right, so I have my pan or my Pyrex dish here ready for the ladyfingers. I have my mascarpone cream here. I'm going to take a 1/3 cup measuring cup. It's just a good, I never use it to measure. I usually measure out my ingredients with grams now. It actually yields better results because it's very precise. I think I might have mentioned that last time, and if I didn't, using grams is a really, really, it's a more reliable way of baking versus using a cup, because a cup for me will not be a cup for you. It's very different, and it's hard to differentiate between my cup versus your cup. Even in Australia, cups are different. In the United Kingdom, it's different. So using grams is really, really important. So I never use my 1/3 of a cup because I just measure in grams. Excuse me. So I'm going to use this to scoop out the mascarpone cream, and you'll see me spread it around. I am going to grab my offset spatula. 1 second.
How do you measure in grams? You have stuff? Okay, I figured.
You don't have to get a crazy, if you are somebody who likes to experiment in the kitchen, use a scale. You don't have to get a crazy scale. I ended up getting this on sale on Williams Sonoma website, but you can find one in Target. You can go on Amazon. You can find them all over. Okay. It's really great for measuring. So I just put it down and I'll put the bowl on it. You can hit a button to tear it so that it's you starting at 0, and then you just measure from there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, so I think we're ready to start layering the tiramisu. I have my ladyfingers here, my pan. We're good. Okay. So I have my coffee, my cold brew coffee here. It's really just perked coffee from yesterday morning and put in the fridge. And we have the fun alcohol, the Frangelico. You can use amaretto, you can use Kahlua, you can use any coffee flavored liqueur. I just wanted to use Frangelico. So this is 2 tablespoons and a teaspoon. So I added the extra teaspoon for good measure. That goes in with all the other dirty dishes, and just a little swirl, put it together. I'm just pouring this in a bowl, a wide enough bowl to dip the ladyfingers in. And so ladyfingers can really break apart pretty easily. So you want to make sure as you're dipping them, it's a quick dip in, turn, and then you place into the dish. So I'll try my best to demonstrate that. So I have the mascarpone here. Oh,
Have you used vanilla extract somewhere yet?
Yes, I did. Did I not mention that?
No, and maybe I missed it.
Okay, so did you make your mascarpone and whipped cream yet? Okay, you could just add that in there and give it a quick mix with the spatula.
since I already mixed it up, should I use the liquid or the powder better?
The vanilla extract is good, the liquid. You can even, honestly, you can add that in with the Frangelico and coffee powder if you wanted to, or you can leave it out. It's one of those, because there's a lot of flavors in here. The vanilla extract just gives it another vanilla aromatic to it. You don't really have to use it, but
I'll use it.
yeah, listen, go for it. I'm all for it. You can do it and add it to the coffee if you want, or just a quick whisk into the mascarpone. All right, so I'm going to get started. So traditional ladyfingers are rounded at the top and then flat at the bottom. So what we want are the ladyfingers, I believe it said at the top. What did I write in my ingredient? I don't want to say the wrong thing, because knowing me, I will. Yeah, so that's right. Okay, so we want to make sure when we're making this that the rounded tops are facing up. That way the flat side is at the bottom, so it creates a nice layer. So I'm going to do a dip, a quick flip, and then into the pan. So we have a dip, a flip, and then right in. And this is how we do it. So this one's a little bit too drenched, but that's okay. So these ladyfingers absorb really fast. Some of them might be different, but traditionally ladyfingers absorb pretty quickly. Dip, flip, shake off the rest. I feel like that should be a song. I should write a song for dipping and flipping tiramisu. Okay, so I'm going to keep it at 5. So I have 5 here, if you could see it this way. 5, and then I'm just going to add 2 to the other side. So it'll be 7 as the first layer at the bottom. So that way I can have a little bit more at as a layer. So I'm going to crack one because, well, I don't have enough space. Okay. And already the ladyfingers are starting to get really soft. So we want that. We want them to be soft, but not too soft that they fall apart. Okay, we have our first layer here. I'm going to add the mascarpone cream. You just take 1/3 of a cup or whatever measurement that you're using. Move this up a little bit, and then just plop it down. Want enough to make a thick layer of the cream. And then I have what's called an offset spatula, and it's offset because it's actually tilted up. And this helps me to smooth it out. And you could, again, find this on any website for baking needs. You can find this on Amazon. This is an OXO one. It's very easy to use.
You could also get them at Michael's if you need. I have a whole bunch of them. I love them. I use it for everything.
Yeah, it's so helpful. It really makes nice smooth edges. Sorry if my hand is in the way.
I actually use it when I'm doing like a measuring cup of flour or something, and I will, you know.
Yeah. All right, this looks pretty good. So we have one layer here. And then we're going to continue on with the ladyfingers.
And the cocoa is just for the bottom. You didn't put any cocoa.
The cocoa powder goes predominantly on top. So that's why there's 3 tablespoons. You do a very generous dusting of them when you're done. And I'll show you that. Okay.
Now, do you want the ladyfingers are supposed to line up exactly on every layer?
They should. Traditionally, they're like that. But if you want, if you have a weird shaped pan, you can always do it however works for that pan. So, or the Pyrex or dish or baking dish or what have you. So I'm kind of just making a second layer here. That's going to be a weird shape because I only have 6 ladyfingers left. So it'll be a weird layer, but it's all right. It's all going in the same place. Okay. So this is really just an assembly line of steps. So you do another scoop of the mascarpone cream, or a couple of scoops. You can make as thick a layer as you want. I will have a lot of mascarpone cream left over, so I'll have to think of what I want to do with that. Maybe I'll make like a trifle. Maybe I'll do that with some muffins, like break up some muffins. I made honey banana muffins today. Maybe I'll rip up some of those and put them in a dish. All right, this is layering the second layer. Like I said, mine is not going to be as neat and beautiful because I don't have as many ladyfingers as I would have liked. Time escaped me, so I didn't get a chance to reorder more. But I hope that you're able to get the gist of how to assemble it. I'm sure you are. So this is my second layer, and I'm just gonna do the last 6 of my mascarpone, my ladyfingers, sorry. I'm gonna space them out a little bit. Are there any questions?
Just what time do you want us tomorrow?
Dinner's at 6. All right, my last ladyfinger is going on. All right, and I'll finish it up with more mascarpone and then a dusting of the cocoa powder. One thing I got at a grocery store were these 3 little sieves. So there's different sizes. There's a very small one, a medium size, and then I have one that's dirty, which is a larger size. So I will show you how I do that with the cocoa powder. So another blob of mascarpone. It's probably good. And then spread it around. Like one side of this one is going to be just all mascarpone cream, and I'm not complaining. Okay, a little bit more on this side. Yeah, this pan will probably, well, the last time I made it, it was 4 layers. So this will be a 3-layer one, but. It doesn't need to be perfectly smooth. I do like a little texture at the top actually, but as long as the surface area is covered, you are good. A little bit is exposed here. Okay, so we are done with the layers, and hopefully you'll be able to see, oh, there we go, perfect. You'll see the layers of the tiramisu over here, and you kind of want it to look something like this. If it doesn't, that's fine. It's just a lot of mascarpone and maybe a little of misalignment with like this side with the ladyfingers, which is totally fine. And this side has all the mascarpone, which is great. But you do want some layers because tiramisu is known for its layers of ladyfinger and the mascarpone cream. So I'm going to put the mascarpone, I feel like I've said that word 85 times. I should be a drinking game, mascarpone cream. So we're going to then finish off with our cocoa powder. And so what I like about the sieve and what I recommend is it breaks up the bigger chunks of the cocoa powder because any type of powder will chunk or clump together. So I'm just going to pour, and I'll bend the computer again for you to see. I'm just going to pour the cocoa powder into the sieve and then it'll do its trick. And just some light taps. With this, you do want to make sure that you cover all of the mascarpone cream. So that's why there's a lot of the cocoa powder in the recipe. And as you see, it's covering nicely. You can also use espresso powder for a deeper coffee flavor if that's your jam. If not, you can simply just use cocoa powder like I'm doing here. Okay.
Could you do a mix?
Yeah, totally. Yep. Espresso powder is really great to bake with. It really enhances the chocolate flavor. I like using it. I have King Arthur flour. King Arthur, I actually don't know the full name, but King Arthur's brand of espresso powder. All right, so we're pretty good, and that is the tiramisu. And what you'll do is cover it. I have a special cover that just came with this dish, and I'll put it on here, set it in the fridge for 24 hours, and this will be my dinner tomorrow. Hopefully, maybe not, just kidding. Or maybe, depending on my night. So that's how you make tiramisu, and I hope you enjoyed.
Thank you so much. That's amazing. Wow. Oh my gosh. Does anyone have any questions? I know that there are 3 other Peacemans on here, or Ashley's not a Peaceman anymore, but can you guys tell us how it tastes? Because you know, you guys have had it.
I think Shari is the only one that had it yet.
Ashley said yum.
I know she wants me to make it for her.
Well, Ashley, if you go over tomorrow night at 6:30, 7 o'clock, you'll have it. All right. Lana, what step are you on?
Oh, she's dipping the ladyfingers. Okay, great.
Gotcha.
Almost
Wonderful.
done. I'm almost done.
How's it going? Good?
Yep.
Great. Yeah, I mean, once you get the hang of it, once you do it like once, maybe twice, it becomes, you know, you do your eggs here, you do your whipped cream mascarpone, and then you just start layering it together.
All right. Well, I'm going to just stop recording at this point because we are done.